Good morning. Good morning. I'm late. Late as ever. I think I'm always late, right? When am I ever on time? Probably never. Probably never, y'all. I hope everybody's doing good. It's one day closer to Friday. Woo! Good morning, Queenie. I got my coffee in hand. It's nice and warm. Good morning, Shondell. Whew. You know what? Life is crazy. Good morning, Cassandra, representing on YouTube. Hey, Tiara. Good morning, you guys. I just keep being amazed that it's almost the end of the year. It's almost my birthday. Birthday's coming up very quickly. So I get to, celebrate another year on this planet. Good morning, Crystal. It always amazes me when oh shit, Melissa is repping from Mexico. Woohoo! Yes. We are international, baby. We are international. Every year it amazes me the growth that can happen, right? So I had a topic this morning where um I was going to talk about offerings, altars, but I think my topic has kind of changed this morning, inspired by current events. Tea with no sugar. Well, I can't say that because there's actually some teas, like if you get into organic teas, that you can drink and don't require any sugar and they don't taste nasty. Right, Cassandra, right. Like if you just really sit for a second, right? And you look back and you're like, damn, I'm not the person I was a year ago. Like the person I was in, November 2020, that person no longer exists. I'm not that person. And it's crazy how time, effort, whatever you're doing can change all that, right? And then you start moving, you keep moving forward because the push is to keep moving forward. And then it's like, oh shit, I am not the person I was a year ago. I'm okay with that though, but it's pretty drippy. Tiffany, I can, but it's the morning show, boo. Good morning, Brenda. We're going to send you some love and some light, Brenda, and make sure that if you do have COVID, you kick COVID's ass, okay? I think most of my chats this week have gone to, our goals in our what we're doing for coming up next year and where we've come so far. And I hope that each and every one of you take a moment and just see how far you've really come in your life. Even if you are not where you want to be, even if you're not making the six figures that you want to make, right? Even if you're not able to retire, I want you to just take a moment and take stock at where you're at. Sit there for a moment and just be like, damn, look how far I've come. You got to congratulate yourself. You got to pat yourself on the back, right? You got to be able to sit and say, hell yeah, we kicked ass this year. We kicked ass this year. Good morning, Christina. So I want to bring up forgiveness because it's kind of been a theme kind of coming up. I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about it. And I think forgiveness is kind of something that we struggle with. Like on a huge level, right? Good morning, Melanie. Good morning, Dee. And I think that a lot of times when it comes to forgiving self is like one of the biggest struggles that we can ever face, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't ever in this point of my life, um, I don't ever want to sit in a place where I feel like life is a struggle. I used to. Don't be rolling your eyes. Don't be rolling your eyes. I used to be the one who felt like life just had to be so hard. Like, life's just hard. But I'm not like that no more. I don't feel that way no more. I feel like we create way much more suffering in our life than what we need to. 2 months no smell, yeah. Oof. Hell to the motherfucking yeah, Melissa. Woohoo. Tori, I could. Information is in the description, wherever the description is. I could. If you really need a reading, I would. Of course, it is the morning show. We're talking, but if you really need a reading, I'm not against it. Okay. So when we say forgiveness, that's what happens, right, Tira? We roll our eyes like, oh, fucking forget. I gotta forgive. Why? And I've seen a lot of videos, especially like on TikTok, and people are like, no, I'm not forgetting. They don't deserve my forgiveness, and blah 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 blah. That's all your ego. Remember, your ego is what gets bruised in every situation, right? Um, so when something happens to us, that's our ego. So when do we get past that point of what this person did to me? Because if you are staying in the fact of what they did to you, you are the victim. Plain and simple. You are a victim of what happened. Okay. You at some point work to get out of being the victim of the situation. This happened to me. Okay. This person did this, because you will always sit there and you will always reflect as that victim in a situation. Most likely, in every situation, there are multiple sides to a situation. It is never one sided. Even if somebody really did some fucked up shit to you, there is still always multiple perceptions in the situation. There just is. Um, Sometimes we will never understand the choices people make, right? It's not for us to understand. I think we set ourselves up for disappointment and failure because we're trying to understand where other people's mindset is. You'll never understand it if you're not sitting in their shoes, like with all their life experiences, like the terms, try to put yourself in somebody's shoes, right? You can't put yourself in someone's shoes if you haven't been raised the way that they were raised. You can try to be empathetic, you can try to have some sympathy, but you will never know what this person has gone through. You don't know what their childhood went through. You don't know the mindset this person is in from their life up until they met you, right? None of that. And we don't take that into stock when we're mad at someone. When we don't want to forgive, no, fuck you. You did this to me. But we don't think about whatever this person might. I'm not saying it's right because we don't condone shit up in this bitch, right? We're not condoning it. But I will say that sometimes we have to take that step back and say, and I really don't know what this person went through. I really don't know their mindset. I will never understand them. Let it go. We don't need to hold on to shit for until we die. We don't need to fucking be pissed off and mad at someone because they didn't show up in the way and the fashion that we wanted them to. Remember that. Most of the time it's people we're mad at people because they didn't show up the way we needed them to. Let that sink in. Okay. Right, Melanie. Good morning. At some point, you have to remember you're the adult now. You have choices now. you are able to make better choices. So whether you entertain something or not, it's up to you. But you can't force somebody to be who you want them to be. And if they are not who you want them to be, you can't condemn them either, right? So TJ is a scammer. We're going to go ahead and block TJ. So you can't condemn them. So when it comes to forgiveness, what's the most hardest thing about forgiveness for you guys? Like, let's just put it on the table. Let's see. What is some of the, like, if you think about the person that you're still struggling to forgive, even if it's self, what is the hardest part about that you've come into contact with forgiveness? What is the hardest part for you to let something go and move forward? What is holding you in this place of being unable to say, I forgive you? Trusting what? Trusting what? What in the situation? Trusting what? Good morning, boo. Trauma, but when we say trauma, let's see what part of the trauma is the hardest part. Is it the hardest part of the trauma that this person caused in your life? Right. And the thing is, you don't have to trust somebody again if they've betrayed your trust. There's nothing that in the books of life that says, okay, this person says, okay, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Nothing says you have to trust this person. But as long as you don't hold it, I would say it like this. If somebody betrays your trust, right? If you choose to put this person back into your life, you didn't cut this person off, you didn't kick them out of your life. You chose to bring this person back into your life. Now you have an obligation now because you chose to bring this person back into your life. So now you have to try to see it from, like, if you just met this person, you wipe the slate clean, you start over. You can't really bring someone back into your life and still be like, well, remember the time you did this? Because then you sit in the past. Either way, it's not like, right or wrong. It's just either way, you just kind of sit. Whoever Facebook user is in the tribe, yes, this is live, boo. And that's what I mean, Cassandra. Remember, you're seeing the situation from your lens, and the person is seeing it from their lens. There's always multiple perspectives in a situation. Good morning, Cherry. Always different perspectives. So you see it one way, the other person sees it the other way. What do you do? Do you sit trying to prove that you're right in a situation? Good, Tori. Good. Good about moving forward. Right, right. So when it comes to and like I said, I get it. One of my hardest situations to forgive was self, right? Um the other one was my daughter's father, because I was a victim of, because you did this, or because you didn't show up for your daughter, I had to do this. Because you weren't there for your child, I had to work two jobs. And I was so frustrated with him because the way my life was. And with or without him in her life, my life was my life. My life was my life because of decisions that I made, because of what I decided to do. Not necessarily was he making or breaking my lifestyle, but I had a very huge resentment against, my daughter's father from not stepping up, being there, not sending child support, not being there. And I had to really do some healing on that, because I still will never, never understand why he didn't step up in her life or take care of her or be there. I'll never understand it. But I've had to get into that energy of just let it go because I'll never understand it. There's just nothing about it. But I used to be so angry. I'd have this inner anger inside about it. Used to eat me the fuck up. Wasn't doing shit for me though, you know? Exactly. So in a situation where someone is like, they feel they're right, right? They feel they're right in their situation. They've justified their actions regardless to what you feel. It's their perception. It's what they've been through. So you can't really tell this person that they're wrong, even if you feel that way. Even if you're like, I'm right and you're wrong and you did this to me, right? You can't. It's like, okay, we agreed to disagree. Because again, you will never know what that person went through in their life. And I'm not giving anybody an excuse to be a shitty person. You still don't know what they've gone in their life. It's horrible. It's horrible, but you don't know how they ended up where they're at. You don't know if this person's ever been accountable for their actions in their life. You don't know if this person's just never become aware of their shit. And sometimes it's like that. Some people go through life very unaware of how they touch other people. Some people are very unaware of how they're demeaning, how they're derogatory, how they're shitty and condescending. Some people don't get it. Some people just go through life and don't give a fuck. They don't have respect for certain things. But that's their perception of life. They think they're just doing them. Some people are very self-serving in that way, right? I'm glad, Melanie. I'm glad. Tiffany, let me know what your question is, boo. Oh shit, Brenda doesn't have COVID. Yes, we're gonna give you a thumbs up. Good morning, Lori. So, one of the biggest things for self forgiveness, and I want to touch because other people, I know it's hard to, sometimes it's easier to forgive other people than it is ourselves. Now, I feel like when someone does something to you, it does changes the relationship, right? If someone lies to you, it's kind of hard to take them at face value after that, right? If someone cheats on you, it's hard to trust them after that, right? Because they've already shown that they're capable of doing some shitty stuff. If someone steals from you, it's kind of hard to leave your purse around that person afterwards, right? Because they've already shown you that they have the capability of stealing from you. But this is what I want you to understand. When someone has done something like that towards you, right? They've already shown you their capability. You, in that first instance, have to make a decision. Do you allow this person back in your life with the chances of them doing it again? Or do you cut them off and just say, I have no time or place for any of this? As people, it gets hard for us to let go. And we keep talking about letting go, right? Letting go and releasing is a theme. It's been a theme for a while now. And so we can't let go. So we entertain people. We entertain people. Okay, Sharon is doing some scammer shit. We're going to block her. So if you don't want to get into that mode of allowing someone to hurt you over and over again, the first time someone shows you who they are, guess what? You got to take it at face value, right? And I'm not saying not to forgive people and people can't change, but let's face it. Someone lies, and I feel like this. If you can lie about small things, you can lie about big things, okay? And people will look at small lies, oh, that's white lies. A lie is a lie. There's no gray area with a lie. Like, we'll justify it, right? Okay, so I lied to the bill collector, but that's okay because it's the bill collector. You still lied. You do know that, right? So Warris is doing some scammer shit. I have a lot of scammers on my live today, y'all. We're just gonna keep blocking them. Right, right, Shondell, right. And it's a learning experience. Having those proper boundaries. I know today is scammer central. You guys, the scammers are out. So if they're in your box today, just tell them to, go somewhere. You got it. You have to readings is a trigger word. um so, coming into to just remember that we can't be a victim like, oh my God, this person threw me under the bus. Oh my God, this person did this to me. Because at the end of the day, when you entertain somebody who's shown you how shitty they are, you set yourself up for it. And you have to understand that. That's something that you got to come to terms with. Because if I am my energy, know you're a fucked up person, I know that you've betrayed me before, but I still keep allowing you in my life, and then you keep not showing up for me in the ways that I need you to, or the ways that I, would hope that you will, that's all on me. I no longer can blame the other person. It is no longer their fault for being a shitty person, because they have shown you that they are a shitty person. They have shown you that they are self serving. They've already shown you this, but you keep taking the moment to entertain it. Whose fault is it? That's where you got to take accountability in the situation, right? Oh, Sherry, why are you in the hospital? But we're going to send you some love, and everyone just take a moment and send Sherry some love and some support energy. I hope whatever's going on, I hope you get recovery quickly. That's where the awareness comes into it. When you become aware of who you're dealing with, when you become aware of someone's patterns, you cannot be the victim of your energy. It is not always everyone else. And people will fight me on this, but they did this to me, but they did that to me. And I used to be the person like, damn, this bitch did this person did this. But that's not it anymore. If you keep entertaining somebody's bullshit, it's on you. It's no longer on them anymore. They've shown you who they were. You ignored it. You stayed. And we stay why? The pretense of the hope it'll change, the fantasy that this person is going to become somebody else. And for some reason, we think our love is going to change people. Where did we get that idea? Fucking movies? Hey, Danielle. You said I seem a little what? I'm not sure what you're saying, Danielle. You said I seem mad? I'm not mad. All right. All right. Give me a minute. I'll do your reading. No, I'm not mad at all. We're just talking about forgiveness and stuff. I know sometimes I get a little aggressive and passionate about what I'm saying, you know, but just, you got to think about it. Like, you just can't be in that energy of you're the victim, right? You just can't. That doesn't help you. It does not help you build or grow, right? Exactly, boo. I'm like, what are you talking about? um so when it comes to forgiveness, Don't take it as you agree with this person, right? Okay. That's what I figured it was. I figured it was aggressive. You guys know I'm aggressive, right? I like you guys know this about me, right? I get very passionate about certain things. Especially when it kind of touches me in certain ways, I get very passionate. So don't mind me. But in order to truly heal, we do have to get to a place where we understand and we take accountability, right? So just remember, if you're sitting in the space of what someone did to you, you're not getting the point. You're still in victim mode. And I'm not saying not to acknowledge what happened to you, because I think at first, when we're working through our healing, part of it is to acknowledge what has happened, but also acknowledge our expectations towards somebody else, right? Because we always expect someone to do something and they do the opposite. And so then that's the reality of it. Then we are disappointed because this person chose what they chose, and we care about these people, right? So forgiveness, there's a lot of steps into forgiveness. And when you're really breaking it down, and I will say this, forgive when you're ready. Don't forgive when someone's trying to make you forgive. Don't forgive because somebody's pushing you to do it. Do it when you're ready. There's nothing wrong with staying in your energy until you figure it out. Okay? Nothing wrong with it. But I will say, if you don't try, of course you'll sit in a very angry space, and it's not going to do you good to stay there. One of the things I always say, one of my biggest like not regrets, but one of the biggest forgiveness issues in my life was self. With my first daughter's death, I carried a lot of guilt from that I could not work through. I was a teen mom. She died of sudden infant death. I didn't do anything wrong. But because I was 14 when I was pregnant, I hid my pregnancy for about the first 5 months of my pregnancy. I didn't get medical care until about that 4.5 months. And I would sit and think, like, did I do something wrong? Like, did my actions make her sick? Did because I didn't understand what SIDS meant. I didn't understand some of the things that happened. No one, they weren't able to really explain things to me in that way. And as a kid, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I never got grief counseling, which I should have. We just didn't do that in my family. It wasn't a thing. You just dealt with life and you kept going, right? And so I had a lot of guilt from the situation that I carried for 20 something years. It wasn't until I started to come on this path that I started to break down that energy of what I was feeling and break through my mental capacity of what I felt happened, you know? And I even detached from, that's where my detachment from religion really happened. I was so mad at the term God and religion, and how could God take my child from me? And I had like disowned the energy of God or source due to that particular situation. And I just, because I would sit and I would see these girls that were, young like me, and their kids would be shitty and dirty. And I was like, I'm not that mom. I'm a better mom. Like, why me? I was in the why me energy for fucking decades. Okay. And so, it's just one of those things where over time you kind of understand and start to let go and release. And it's not, you stop blaming yourself once you start to, and especially with self forgiveness, you have to stop blaming yourself for what you think you could have changed in the situation. I have RH negative blood. So the doctors had like rushed me in to get a shot because my blood could affect my daughter. It did during delivery. She had jaundice really bad. She had to stay in a hospital, and a week after she was born, she had to be under this light. And I didn't understand all of that. I just thought she was sick. I didn't get it, that it was just the blood. She wasn't like sick. It wasn't a disease. It was just my blood, got into hers. I didn't understand that as like, how could like my blood affect my child like that? I didn't understand any of that. So I had this huge guilt as this child, situation in my life. I had this huge guilt. Like, what the hell? And it was so hard to work through that, to even wrap my brain around it. And They had to do an autopsy, of course, on her, and I couldn't wrap my brain around that. I've had just the sight seeing the aftermath of everything. So there was a lot of guilt that I held. So when you're working through your guilt, just remember that as you're processing things, remember, ask yourself, could you have truly did something different? Knowing what you know, could you have truly changed something? 9 times out of 10, you couldn't have changed anything, right? You know what? Your husband's sister, you kind of just politely need to let her know, like, this is me. You know what I mean? Like, this is me. Or maybe bring up a topic that you do like and see if anybody kind of talks to you. Now, if you bring up a situation and it's just like they got nothing, then it's like, well, this is why I don't interact. I'm sorry. Don't change who you are just to become who somebody else wants you to be either. Okay. Good, Lori. Healing is a process, you guys. Healing is a process. Exactly, Danielle. And the guilt alone will eat you up, right? Did I make the right choice? The situation. Am I going to hell? You know what I mean? Like, all of these fucking shit goes in our head, in our brain. You beat yourself up. But I had to do some kind of good morning, Renee. I had to do some kind of looking into to understand these these the things that happen with babies: abortion, miscarriage, loss of a child when they're an infant, death, right? I had to look into this because spiritually I needed to kind of understand. I needed to kind of understand because even I had a judgment. Because I lost my child, I had a judgment towards anyone who had an abortion. And I can honestly say that. And to this day, I'm not. I've changed. Your choice is your choice. That has nothing to do with me. But when I was a child, I felt like, how can you do that? I was so judgmental. I was like, how could you do that? Because I lost a child. It was different, right? Again, no one will know what you go through because they're not in your situation. And you want to project your emotions on someone. It just doesn't work like that, right? So I had to kind of look into a lot of spiritual reasons of why we miscarry, why this, that, and the third, why. And there are, these kind of like these contracts with these souls. Remember, we're souls. We do have these kind of innocent time of being a child and a baby, but we're souls, and we do kind of come together and kind of think about things and how we're going to react in certain things. And I feel like, damn, I just have scammer after scammer on here this morning. I feel like you have to be in your life and what you're ready for. And I think because of the fact that we were given the ability, right, to carry a child, I do also feel like you're able to make a decision. Because, the worst thing you could do is tell someone, like, no, you have to have this child. And then what? You're forcing someone. And I do feel like, yes, I feel like it's your choice. I don't feel like we should ever force someone to do something against their will. And I feel like, you guys, it is your body, it is your choice. Um, and I had to work through all my judgments and all my shit. I had to work through my guilt, my pain, and not project that out on other people because it's not fair. It's not fair to do that. Right, right, right. I remember this article. I can't remember where I was reading it, but it was a couple different ones that kind of said the same thing. And they talked about miscarriages, how sometimes the soul will come kind of telling you to get ready for them to come, and then they'll come back. Um, Sometimes they just come for that blip because that was the agreement for you to just feel. this situation. Remember, we came for experiences, right? Now, I'm not saying that every harsh thing is an experience, but there are a lot, especially when it comes to souls. We did sign up for these experiences together. What we do with it is the big deal. What we do in the experience is the big deal. So I think sometimes, of course, you guys know I always talk about death, where we tend to um we tend to think death is like the worst thing possible, right? And even myself with my daughter, of course, to this day, I would so much rather her in this life with me, but that's a selfish thought, you know. And I've had someone tell me that, like, in this shitty world you'd still want her here. And it's just like, the selfish part of me, yes. The selfish side of me, yes. But that's the selfish part of me, not the one who's thinking like, yeah, this world is pretty fucked up, why would I want her here? So I think we do get in that mode where we think it's us, we're in the me, poor me energy. So it's very easy to be kind of like that selfish mode, that victim of a situation. So every day when you're working through this, you guys, allow yourselves to let go. Allow yourselves to remove the shit of whatever guilt, shame that you hold in a situation. A lot of people who are raped and molested, because I've been both, right? I've been raped and molested. And there's a guilt that you feel like somehow you deserve this shit. Like somehow, you know what I mean? Like somehow it's your fault. Like the time I was raped, I put myself in a very bad situation. Unfortunately, the result was the rape. I held a lot of guilt to that, because had I have not put myself in that place in that time, which I knew in my gut told me not to go, would it have happened? You know what I mean? But working through that to understand, sometimes bad shit happens in life. There's no karma attached to it. It wasn't no tit for tat. This wasn't, anything like that. It's just some people in the moment make the wrong decision. I don't think everyone, I don't think everyone is planned to. I think there are some times where people go. I think there are some times when people die, and I won't say an accident, but when it's not their time. I've just kind of connected with enough spirits to know that some people, it wasn't their time. But unfortunately, I do feel like people have a choice. That's what the free choice is. And this moment, if I'm angry and mad and we're fighting and I have a gun in my hand, I have a choice in this moment to take your life or not, right? What I do in this moment is everything. I don't feel like that's written in stone, because I could choose to walk away. I could choose not to pull that trigger. So I do feel like in some instances we have a choice, and some people just choose to, you do the latter, right? You always have a choice.